Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast. I'm Calvin, a member of the Win with Dice team, here with Ramon, another member of the team. Ramon, say hi.
Hey guys.
If you can't tell, I did a little bit of a finger gun drum roll kind of thing there. The sign of long days, I guess. So, previous episode, we started on some world building.
Right.
Win with Dice World Building Wednesday Weck Extravaganza. So
Extravaganza. Okay, well,
I wanted to continue that. If you recall, and I'll throw the image up in here again. Our listeners and viewers, if you recall, we sort of randomly generated a map and then started assigning like stories and quests and places to it based on what the generator had given us, and we started around the theme of airships because I really wanted airships. I've just had them on the mind lately. So that was kind of the central starting point, but it led us to creating a narrative around this space that we have. So if you look at the map image, which I'll have on screen, you can see that it's basically three separate land masses with one in the middle of another. We started with the center one, and we sort of formed a narrative around like this ancient race who had access to this magical power that they were transferring all around, but they were also dealing with a mass of dragons as they started using their magical airships.
Yeah.
And because of the battle between these people and the dragons, there was sort of a magic apocalypse where the magic like ley lines or power lines that they had set up were all like simultaneously detonated, sort of devastating the land around them and turning the people into like magic zombies, as well as decimating the dragons for the most part. There are some hidden, as it were.
Oh man.
We also discussed that island to the western side of the map, where we have a lot of varied different cultures, because that's where like people who are traveling to the space would mostly land first if you're coming from like the western-ish hemisphere, depending on what this world map looks like. But also we had a winter hag or winter witch or whatever it may be, I think she might have been a fey creature or something, sort of like encroaching from the south, expanding her territory.
Yeah. And honestly, Calvin, you picked a really hard map to write a story on. Like,
well, you know.
Man, this is like an actual challenge. I think like after the initial recording of part one, I was kind of sitting back for the couple days last week, and I was like, man, this is like way harder than I thought.
It is yeah, like I wanted to go with a very unique shape, and I just saw this one in the generator and I was like, oh, that's cool, let's do that. In retrospect, it might have worked out better if I had done something more generic, but now it's more memorable. Question mark.
Yeah, you're just making us do like all the hard stuff. Anyway, we had a couple of unknowns or questions we left off the last time we did this in part one. If you guys want the full story, please check out that video. Yeah, I liked it. It was pretty good. I thought for part one. Just so you have understanding of us, whatever we're doing moving forward. Words come out of my mouth, please. That's what I want.
Yeah, it'll just give you a better understanding of what we did, because we already know what we did, and if you know what we did, then you can know what we're doing.
Yeah, nobody wants an unknown. They're the worst kind of unknowns.
Exactly. So at this point, the only landmass we haven't really tackled in significant detail is the ring itself.
Yeah.
Which...
but before we get to there, I had like an idea of why you can't just fly your airship just directly into the center part.
Okay.
Where all of the magical zombies and the treasure and the batteries exist. I think it would be cool if the ancient zombie people, when they weren't zombie people, they were fighting dragons who typically are like skyborn, and they had airships, and so I was thinking maybe that their anti-air guns are still operational.
Okay.
And because they're so advanced, right, that they can just blow a ship right out of the sky if you get too close, right? because that's the only way I could think of, like, people who are actually trying to fight dragons would need some sort of like even footing, right? Or else the dragons would just win.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I think we had talked about like requiring some sort of landing strip or something.
Yeah, like the airships don't like hover down like a
helicopter. Yeah, they're more like a plane. But yeah, like that makes sense. Like some areas would be protected, so like I'm assuming this ancient peoples, which needs a name, which maybe we'll just have a names episode.
Yeah, it'll just be part 5. We just finally named 100 things.
Win with names. But yeah, like it makes sense that some areas would be more heavily fortified. Like I was just thinking it's like not safe to land there because of what's living there. But yeah, like even like I do like the idea of like magic anti-air guns, just like the automatons we had discussed last episode. Yeah. They're just set to their last configuration or the last command, which was shoot down anything that's coming in.
Yeah. So and it would be a good, like I like tying it back to that those ancient race that these zombies, because it really kind of like sets the theme that where like whatever, like they were just way more advanced than we are, and we're just trying to catch up, or we're trying to rediscover or whatever, right? So
yeah, that's why I liked what we had when we were discussing the airships. I like that we like the ancient ones are the ones that are based on magic, but you might have some more modern, technologically based ones that are trying to just replicate what's there, but they're not able to do it like the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm wondering, could there be like a quest or something involved in disabling these anti-air guns?
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many, right? And it's like so for every inch of territory you're able to reclaim from, like like let's say there was one of the ancients' landing strips, like you found one, but you have to disable like basically. So you have to disable like the entire area or like whatever because of all the I don't know, the anti-air pylons or something. But you're contending with that while also trying to fight off the automatons who are like protecting the place, and like I don't know, all of the orcs or goblins or
magic
zombies or whatever that's there. And then let's say you do disable the air place. What's stopping, I don't know, one of those crazy messed up metal dragons we talked about last time for just like showing up?
Yeah, okay.
Like, right? So then it's like, it's a catch-22. Like, I think it's always like you could definitely have like a story where like your party has to go and investigate this area and disable the turrets or the anti-air guns, so your reinforcement crew can land. And then, but like once they're landed, it's like a whole nother crap. Where like it's always like out of the frying pan into the fire kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe like if it was for someone like unscrupulous who didn't want to go through official channels to get there, but they're like, destroy these particular 5 guns or whatever, and then we can land in this space with no one knowing, and I'll cut you in and I'll put it a profit.
Yeah,
maybe if we're dealing with some sky pirates.
Sure, yeah, sky pirates. I mean, who knows? Sky pirates might have their own little alcove on the thing where they're able to land freely, but nobody knows how to get there because only the sky pirates know how to do that. Like like maybe they have to like thread the needle and like know the proper route between like the mountain pass to get there. And if you go too high, you'll get shot by the anti-air guns, but if you go too low, you'll just crash.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like that. Like too far in one direction and you're dealing with other particular dangers, so everyone takes the easy route. But
yeah, that'd be crazy if like you had a crew, like you had your own airship and you had to like go to this pirate location, and it's like, well, okay, now whoever's the pilot has to really figure that shit out. It's like you could be like really tense, like your airship could go down. Oh, what do we do? Right?
Okay, I'll just make a note of sky pirates. All right. And they're hidden way onto the island. So, yeah, I mean, maybe one of these regions on the ring can be like sky pirate controlled, because I'm looking at all these areas and they don't all have to be something. We could recolor some of them. They could just be like different terrains or something like that. Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out like how we were doing with the other 2 places where we started making the narrative around what the generator gave us. I was trying to figure out how to stay as close as possible to what we see here, but still establish some sort of narrative consistent with what we were doing before. Because I'm looking and I'm seeing like towards the southern part of the ring where we see the larger masses,
Right.
but then you see like a bunch of smaller ones just up north, and I'm trying to figure out like what that could possibly mean. And I'm thinking like there's definitely a disparity of wealth in this area, especially concerning who has like the best airships and who can land safely in that one particular area. Like we discussed before, there's like that one particular wealthy family or wealthy person or whatever who controls that area.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that might be a very common thread in this region. So maybe towards the north, there's all sorts of small, I think we talked about this briefly, but like small lordships or dukeships or whatever the title may be.
Yeah.
We can just call them dukes for now, because I think duke is lower than lord, maybe.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's all a bunch of flim flam.
It's all a bunch of food. But yeah, like just wealthy families that happen to own like very significant chunks of land, enough to make them their own sort of region.
Yeah, okay, sure. I mean, that sounds great. But okay, well,
They
okay,
need,
so
like, 9 of
let's.
them,
Yeah. So let me zoom in here to the map a little bit more.
because I think
so
we talked.
gen-
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, go for it.
I think we just talked about some sort of like Viking thing in the larger mass towards the south east there. The one that like leans into the ice the most.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think that's a thing we can stick with.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're Vikings that live there, because it's cold and there's a lot of ice that they would have to cut through. Maybe they're really good at cutting through the ice, so they're the ones that really use the southern waterways
To transport back and forth. Yeah, maybe like you might see more of them towards like along the southern coast, maybe a bit up the east, I guess towards their border there. I'm thinking they might mostly be settled within that sort of peninsula that kind of leans off towards the end there at the bottom.
Right, but okay, so if these guys were living here, right?
Yeah.
So if they were living here and they've been living here for a while, and would they know of the zombie battery island? Like
I would think so. I mean, I'm sure everyone like knows how dangerous it is just based on how rare airships are. So I think everyone at least has a sense of what is there. But probably those areas along the southern part of the map would be more familiar with it. Like they might have more knowledge of what exactly is in there.
Okay. I mean, so these guys have airships.
That's a good question.
Because if they don't, I think they would be at a disadvantage, I guess, because people can just fly over and mess up their crap, but or just take them by force or whatever. But that might be a contention, because if let's say, like, why don't they just go and raid that place for technology? I mean, you can say that like they're Viking analogs, but I mean, like, there comes to a point where they can't just be like Vikings for the sake of aesthetics. Like, there has to be a reason for them to want to do yeah, right. And it's like Vikings were raiders because it's way easier to it was way easier to like raid certain places than to actually sit there and grow your own crops, right? So I mean, why are they leaving? Like, is it just like,
I was wondering if it, oh sorry
no, go ahead.
No, I was wondering if it's just too similar to the pirates for them to also have their own waterway to get to the island.
Nah, everyone can have their own waterway to do whatever.
like there's an airway and a waterway to get safely to safely in quotation marks.
Yeah, so there's like this little bay on the right side of the center that kind of points to the peninsula area. Like, it's like directly across it. So maybe there's like, they know how to get there, right? It's like that's just like they have a secret entrance there too that they don't tell anybody
So they
about.
might raid that area, and that gives them some sort of advantage with regards to. So like, are you also wondering like why someone hasn't just taken an airship and gone and raided them as well?
Yeah, I mean, like, if we're making airships to be the idea of power in this section, of the world, if you have one, it means that you're capable of doing a lot. And if you have enough people who just have airships and are able to just fly over that place, like, you know, you can't, like, I don't know what the Vikings technology wise would be, but like if you have a flying airship that can, like, you know, shoot bombs or arrows or magic, then it's like, what are they gonna do, really?
I think I was picturing them more as like flying yachts, but yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm thinking of these people as having like, if not total, then significant control of the waterways. But as for the air, what can they have that can fend off airships? So like, what do we have so far that takes care of airships? We have the anti-air guns and dragons. Would any of those fit with these people, or do they need a third thing?
Well, I don't know.
Is it like a weather thing?
Yeah, I mean, they could just have, like, maybe they just have these druids that, like, will fuck with the weather so much so airships can't really fly over there.
So maybe their strongholds, such as they are protected by like constant blizzard.
Yeah, but then, like, how do they leave? Is it just that the druids come with them and it's like, I shall guide you through the storm? Like, you know?
Pretty much. I mean, I'm thinking there's like a crew of druids that hold up this wall. There might be some sort of permanent magics involved, but there would be like, I don't know if there would be like a soft point in it, because I feel like that defeats the purpose maybe. But it could be possible for someone with certain druidic magics or certain connection to this region to be able to walk through what should be an impenetrable blizzard. And it could be magically impenetrable, like if you try to walk in one end, you just pop out in another end.
Well, yeah, you could do that. Or I like the idea of it just actually being, there's just like a, well, so it's like maybe not like a raging storm, but it's like these fortresses are, you know, protected magically by weather, and they kind of harness the icy tundra as their defense, right? Yeah. So, you know, sure, that sounds great to me. And maybe they have the ability to create such winds and strong winds that you're able to take down an airship. I was thinking maybe they're, yeah, I like the idea because I've been playing a lot. I play 40k of like the space wolves and how they're like half. They have like all the traits of a wolf because they're the space wolves, but they're space marines. But they have like these units that were like, I don't know, their wolfiness was more exaggerated because when they fight demons, they get more wolfy.
Okay. So
they become like werewolves, right? But like, you know, they're like space marines, but now they're like werewolf space marines, and they like kick a lot of ass. I was thinking maybe something like that. Like maybe they have the ability. Maybe all of the Vikings there are just all werewolves.
Yeah,
or
that's actually
were people.
That's where I thought you were going with that. Like werewolves, they're like part dire wolf, like these massive wolves that have like the white and light gray coating.
Sure, yeah, that'd be cool. And they'll all just transform all the time, or like they're all werebears and they all just like bear up.
So like their leaders would probably be the ones that have this sort of power, right?
Yeah, but also like you would have a split between. But the real important people are like the casters who can keep up the ritual or whatever to keep the place safe.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, all these like shifting ice sheets or like these walls of snow or blizzard that like rove across the land, like these druids are the ones keeping it going with their rituals. And maybe because the land is so fierce and stuff like that, and because they can't grow anything because they're so far south or into the cold, they have to do a lot of raiding, and then that's where we get the Vikings, right? Where like they go out and they take what they need and they come back.
Yeah.
Because you can't really grow anything once everything's that cold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, cool. Yeah, and we could have them raid up and down the coast. Like, I would say since they're so good at ice stuff and they're, you know, better equipped to the weather, like maybe they use it to get to the that pink part to the west. Mm-hmm. That. Right, yeah, so
like the whole southern coast is basically Viking pirates.
Yeah, they're looking to be Viking pirates. Yeah, that sounds great. Like all of that terrain and stuff, maybe just have like just give it to the Viking pirates. Like, give it all, it doesn't matter. Like,
because I'm looking at also the map generator, like it generates these roads, and I'm looking at this one particular red one that covers basically the entire ring.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Except for key parts in that green area, the Viking area, and that yellow area right next to it. So I'm thinking those are the that's when you get into the hard to travel tundra, like heavy blizzard landscape.
Yeah. That'd be good. And then after that, it's just like you're either like Viking or you're not. You can't deal with it.
Basically,
and, yeah, and that's the furthest you can go. And it likes that it curves around, so you can put like a port city there, because there's gonna be lots of port cities in this ring world or ring camp setting, right? So
yeah, I mean maybe they have some cities or towns or some settlements that are like outside and exposed and more I think welcoming is too strong of a word, but more open to communication with outsiders. And then you have parts that are like very withdrawn, like very Viking Wakanda kind of thing.
Yeah, they have to travel through their hollow blizzard to get there. No, well, you don't have to have it like that way either. You could just have the road like naturally peter out that way, and then because there's like terrain features like mountains or something where it's just like it doesn't make any sense to have a road.
Oh, so it's just like so mountainous that it's hard to.
Yeah, it could be that. We could make these raiders dorks if you want. They're all the dorks.
Oh, the orcs, yeah. I mean, it's in our notes. I wrote down dorks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean maybe that can be a significant part of that region.
Okay, so we got werewolf, ice, snow druid, kingdom of raiders.
Yep.
that will go and often raid. I like to think that because of like the ice kind of floats up kind of in between the western side of the ring and the western island land. That's where like a lot of activity is. It's like if you're sailing from one side to the other, like you better get your shit together, because it's like the first you might get raided by these werewolf Vikings, which would be pretty cool.
Anyone who tries to get around like this western island to get to the ring, you're gonna be dealing with some pirates if you go southways.
Yeah, I mean that'd be cool too. That'd be cool. So all right, cool. And then so now we have an antagonist that will kind of threaten basically where like the PCs will be. Like the idea.
I mean, like the entire southern coast is basically threatened by them.
Yeah. So okay, cool. So we got all this stuff encroaching from the south. So we got the Winter Witch on that island. We have the Snow Vikings on this island, and then we can start working our way up. So I think that big purple mass probably needs to be defined, because now they're being attacked by Vikings.
Yeah, sure. So like, which direction are we going in? Like the ones right next to them, or?
Oh, so it'd be the one that is like, sorry, the westmost on the ring.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the third largest one.
Yeah, the third largest one.
This one I was like trying to figure some stuff out with, because you can see like there's another similarly colored edge near it, but like bisected by the borders of another region. So I was wondering like how to work with that, or to get rid of it. I don't know, because like I don't know if it's meant to be, if the generator meant for it to be part of the same thing, or if it was just like it just picked that color. So I'm wondering, like, how do you feel about that? Because we can make it anything. We can make, because in the center island there was this very similar situation where at the edge there were just some differently colored tips of land, and those could even be where pirates are going. So like that particular spot at the edge here, and I know you wanted to start with the bigger pink mass, but I kind of wanted to figure out like how much of it is encapsulated in that. So like, should that smaller one be the pirate base or the sky pirate base on the ring?
Sky pirate base. Oh, like on the ring, like that little bit right there.
Yeah, that very small bit. That's sort of like where the green intersects with the pinkish purplish area.
I guess so. I mean, wouldn't it be really? I guess the traffic would probably be from the outside island to the center island, and then they can just strike across, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking that would be some sort of like pirate cove kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. That sounds cool.
Like it could be that, or it could be, I don't know, literally anything. Because I don't really know a situation that would explain why that particular part isn't connected to the larger mass.
Oh, well, it could just be like territorial disputes, like so that maybe the green part here is currently like, you know, was at like taking territory over the pink, and then they just decided to go over there. But there's like a ceasefire or something, or a truce or a treaty, and it just kind of stopped. And this pink part is still sovereign to the bigger pink part, right?
So like during whatever event that brought them into a war with each other. They were just like that one part got cut off, and they were holding out for a significant amount of time, and they managed to hold out until the end of this war.
Yeah, it could be that, or it could just be that it could be like this green territory here is like not really inhabited so much, and then like maybe it's like rough terrain, or it's just like a big forest or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, this pink part here could be a kingdom, and then the kingdom just has like via boat or whatever just decided that this place is the best place to set up shop, and then that place just owns, and you know, so maybe they haven't really joined up yet.
So okay, so like that green area is unsettled, very dense, probably pretty cold forest, and then they just had like, if you manage to get through it, you get to a settlement that exists there.
Yeah.
That was heavily dependent upon like this other area. Like where they like, so maybe someone from there was trying to, I don't know, settle that region or take it or something like that.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it sounds plausible to me. That's what I would do. You just settle the easiest part, like just, especially if you could just, you know, take a boat or something there. It's no big deal.
Yeah, so that happens to be the easiest place to live, and the rest of it is just like,
yeah, just shit ass land. Okay, cool. So I don't know. Let's just yeah,
I mean, we can keep working our way like from the south and then work our way up, because we have that green and that yellow one. The green one, if we're saying, is very thick forest that for some reason can't be like cut down. What could the yellow one be? Because it is like, on one half it's unsettled forest, on the other half it's like impossible to cross blizzards.
It just seems like a shit time.
Yeah, like that spot in particular.
It's just full of carnivorous trees. That's how they survive. They just eat stuff.
Oh, jeez.
It's just a land full of snakes. Everything's made out of a snake.
Sure, the land of the winter snakes.
Oh no! Winter this, winter that, winter.
It could be, because like they could just be getting like climate-wise, it could just be getting colder as you head, because it is slightly further south. Like on average, most of it's slightly further south than the other one is. It could just again be like less, like not as easy to live there. Because I'm looking again at this road, and I do see how it goes through this green area. So there has to be some sort of like way to get through there, even if it's thicker forest. Like maybe overall on this ring, as you go from north to south, that's when you start to get to more difficult areas and like places that are harder to live in.
Yeah.
So that just could just be like a thing, in regards to this region. Yeah, like I'm looking at this space here, this yellow part, and I'm trying to figure out like what could be, if anything, living there. I'm thinking like those where the road cuts off, and then like further east, like that would be all mountainous, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be the theme of this particular area. Like you have some more. It would be mountainous still towards the east and the south, but it might be more like a frozen plains kind of situation. While there in the yellow area, you do have like more difficult mountain terrain to deal with.
Yeah, it would make sense. So people wouldn't just be walking across the ring. They would probably take the boats, which means they're more likely to get attacked by whatever. So, yeah, okay. So yeah, I like the idea that it's mountainous, and maybe the green part's like kind of like a plainsy area.
Yeah,
tundra deal.
Yeah, the green, I think it could be very thick forest. And you might find, like, that might be where you would find, I think, some small towns and villages at best.
Yeah.
And the largest, like, city, quote unquote, not even city, like, largest town, is that one that's, like, almost, like, on the middle of the ring, that one pink part, that just got settled, like, long ago and was still considered part of the other region.
Yeah, let's make this place, okay, so, like, again, with scale, right, like, this place doesn't have to actually be as big as like a very zoomed out map, right? Like,
Yeah,
it could just be like, this is literally like the area of influence. So like maybe that's actually just the one town or one area or the biggest city that's there. So now it's like it shows up on the map, but it owes its allegiance to like that bigger part. Maybe that bigger part has like a couple more towns, a couple more cities. Like it's just like more developed. Maybe there's like, oh, maybe that part is like super cool because they found some like they're actually like settled inside of maybe some like ruins, like maybe it's a little bit of a higher tech city because it has so much trade and influence between like all of the ancient technology they're uprooting from the center island, right?
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, something like that. Yeah, given its position, it would have to be, I was thinking that would have to be like the more significant part of the map.
Yeah. Let's do it.
But we did say for scale last time. We did say that the pink part in the middle took 2 days to traverse.
Yeah.
So I haven't like sussed out like a perfect scale for that, but I've just been like glancing back at that for reference. Like that takes 2 days to traverse with like horse and caravan kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but like not accounting for terrain or anything like that. Just keeping in mind 2 days travel is worth that much space.
Yeah.
Than trying to brain out like how large everything would be in regards to like how far it takes to travel.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like with time and like distance and all that stuff, it's like trying to do it on like a map. In my opinion, it's like, I don't know, it's hard, it's so difficult. I haven't mastered it myself, but it's just like, this is why I don't do it in my own campaign. I just say a number and it might be different the next time I say it.
Well, I do.
It's either you either we have to care about it or we don't have to care about it. That's like how significant it is.
I totally get that, and that is personally what I was doing. It's just like, I think I mentioned this like 2 episodes ago, how I had just given an arbitrary number of days that a sailing trip would take, and because I had done that, I had now given myself a block that was like, I know it takes a ship of this speed, this many days to go from here to here, and now that I have that measurement, I can extrapolate and say how large everything is. So I kind of like fell backwards into that just by like, I think I just like rolled a d6 to see how many days it would take anyways.
Yeah.
And then that gave my map a scale. So that's kind of like what I've been working with. Like we can just work backwards from, if we want to give this thing a scale, like a proper scale, we can just work backwards from that.
Okay,
at some
cool.
point.
Well, I don't know, Calvin. Let's input. Why is this place cool? Because it already has an enemy. So this place
Like 3.
gets rated. Yeah, it has like 1 million enemies because Calvin's like, everybody hates this place. So this place is very important.
It's right in the middle of everything. So that's
Yeah,
also why I think it would be the most significant.
It's where all the money is. So I don't know.
Yeah. As far as yeah, as far as like the mainland, quote unquote, mainland being the ring goes, I think that would be the wealthiest place. That's where the trade goes through as you're coming from that island to the west and landing there. That's where people leave to go to the middle island. It's got the road going directly through it. It's got a couple of really big lakes.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea
Yeah.
that this place is kind of maybe empirical kind of area, because some place that has a lot of rules, maybe, or something that has a lot of influence or organization, right?
Yeah,
because
very bureaucratic.
very bureaucratic. And I wanted to say empire, but it may not be like an empire, but like the idea
But it's
of
ruled
like an
by
empire
blood.
is like a lot of bureaucracy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there's the emperor, and then all of his people, and then all of their people, and all of those people's people, and then it goes down from there. So I'm thinking that maybe that if that's the case, and that pink part is like some sort of big bureaucratic industry and is able to put their power out places, I'm thinking maybe they have the other pink parts up to the north.
Yeah.
I say they control that too. Like, why not?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be easier to deal with. Sure. Yeah. Because like they have like their influence reaches so far. It's such a significant like particular area. Just trying to figure out like how there are so many smaller disparate locations. So like if it's empirical or empire like.
Yeah,
We'll
call it the empire now, because it's easier to reference.
Sure, we'll call it the
Yeah.
empire. I don't know if it'll like be an empire
Right.
technically, but it might be one in practice,
Yeah.
like for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
So could those other regions towards the north there be ruled by like family or directly related family of
Yeah.
whoever's in power in that particular spot?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? Like, that's how it happened in the real world. Everyone was cousins to somebody, so
Sure.
call each other cousins all the time, right? So yeah, and they can control the area, because and they're extracting the resources, or just doing whatever it is, except for the people who apparently own the safest landing strip. They're just like by themselves.
Yeah, that's yeah. Because like I'm thinking like that area, like that one safe landing strip. It is like a very small area, but it's inherently going to be super wealthy because it's the only way to travel to an area with very exclusive and important technology.
Exactly. Right.
But
And that could be a source
are-
of contention, because it looks like it could be that maybe the Empire actually controls all of the north to the west, right? Like that whole water strip on the inside could just be all empirical territory,
Mhm.
because they own, this part here, like at the west up until the north. So, all of that could be just, empirical waterways, same way like all of the south is like the Vikings. So depending on who you piss off and which way you're going, you might have to deal with like a bunch of people, right?
So now I'm thinking because I was like I was saying before, how each of these smaller areas could have their own dukeship or lordship or whatever. Could all the ones between the larger pink area on the west, all the way up to the pink northeast one, could those all fall under the same banner, but maybe only the pink ones are the ones ruled by family members, at least in this current point of time?
So, okay, yeah, you can do that. You could have it so they're all territories underneath the empires, but the only three that are directly ruled by the same family
Mhm.
is the pink zones.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to recolor the middle one on the map there. I don't know if I'll recolor it in time for the video, but I am gonna have to recolor the middle one there, just so it doesn't look related. But yeah, I'm thinking like maybe though, and that would leave those three on the eastern edge, the northeastern edge, to be able to be controlled by like either several separate entities or a single separate entity, one that might be looking to expand its influence.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe that could be some sort of that could be the political conflict of this particular region. Like there's like several of them. Like the entire north and west side are under the banner of this one particular family. It's just that some of those areas are ruled by like not the same group of people, but someone who's sworn fealty or loyalty or whatever to them. And then
Well, okay, so in case of like Rome and stuff like that, it's like maybe they would kind of walk up to a place and say like, okay, you're a part of the Roman Empire now, you have to pay taxes, but all your leaders can be leaders, like all your nobles are still there, they just have to answer to the next one. So maybe like, you know, they like these areas, the pink areas are directly tied to the throne, but these other areas, they're all their own entity, but they all kind of work together with the empire to be like kind of ruled by them, because they all decided that like, yes, the empire is fine, we'll pay your taxes. But you could have the I like the idea of it's balanced still, right? Because you have the big area of the empire and you have the two smaller areas, but there's 3 entities versus 3 entities, right? So they like, you know, even if those 3 start to like become a confederate, it's like they aren't able to actually take over the land because they're kind of even, right?
Yeah.
Probably a little bit less because the empire's territory is bigger and they probably have more resources and other political, economical bullshit that's going on. But
yeah, I think they might. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I think they might have to have some sort of power or something of their own to be able to be separate like that. I was also just had a stray thought that like as you were saying, like these other regions can keep their rulers, quote unquote. But like the other ones, I was just thinking maybe something happened to the rulers of those regions. It could possibly be something suspicious, but something happened to them that required that new management be established, right? And they just happened to be assigned the like 2 particular people.
Yeah, for sure. And it could be those places are of significance. Like maybe it ties back into having we have to name these ancient people or whatever.
Yeah, I've just been thinking of them as ancients. When we have the naming things episode, I think once we establish like what different places are, then we can go into the naming things episode. Maybe that'll be the next one.
Yeah,
then, like,
maybe
the sort of wrap up.
Yeah, maybe the empire only really wants direct control when they need to you know, what's the word? Like control these assets, right? Like really solidify stuff that's like, okay, you found this ancient temple or whatever and it has a source of magic, like, you know, maybe it's like they found like a bunch of free batteries or some ancient technology or like an airship or something, and it's like, oh my god, lock that shit down, like immediately go in there and seize direct control, because, you know, we can't have other people taking it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
that could be what's happened in those areas, like,
right? Yeah.
Their leaders like suspiciously fell ill after they discovered some sort of significant technology there, and then they were just like replaced by ones loyal to their, like, ones directly from this family, and maybe in that very pale yellow one towards the north, if that's another quest that's going on, they just found something new. The PCs might be involved in finding something new there, and then they discover they have to watch their back.
Yeah, and like I like the idea of having the empire as being one entity, but then these 3 of the west side still having some influence, but they're like distinct people. Like maybe they're their own families, maybe they're their own races, like maybe like but it's like they're all like so they're all alliance together with the empire, but they're all kind of like, okay, if one of us actually turns to the empire side, like, you know, or something happens to us like it happens to like the other 2 places, like they're going to be outnumbered and they're going to be swallowed up. So they're trying to be tight together, but also they also know that, you know, at any moment one of them could turn on them and then the whole shift of power can change, and then all of a sudden they agreeing with the empire might put their people in a safer place than the other 2, and nobody knows who's willing to do that shit, right?
Yeah. So that makes it so it's like a very tenuous like agreement between all of them. Like I was thinking, the borders that exist could be left over from skirmishes or wars that may have gone on before, and those are just the people who were in power, and power being like passed down mostly by lineage, if we're sticking with this sense of wealth inequality and all that stuff. all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. So like power would be mostly be passed down by like lineage and birthright and all of that. So that's how those borders are still established there. But as those other people like spread their influence, or their influence already existed, because that location being a significant one makes them maybe the most wealthy one. As they spread their influence, like they brought these other people in, but left the borders that existed, and then just took over some places as was needed.
Yeah, because they're all in a alliance, right? Or,
Yeah.
you know, they're together.
You can call it the alliance. I like the word alliance.
Yeah, and like people like all the time, like people could be referring to the alliance as like a noble thing. It's like, how could you do this? What about the alliance? And then you could be like in some sort of noble, in some sort of imperial court. He's like, the alliance, yes, you know, like in that kind of notion where it's just like, you know, using this tenuous balance to kind of play like the political chess and maneuver pieces all over the place, and nobody really knows everyone's hands, but
Yeah.
they always suspect the worst, right?
And so those 4 regions that aren't specifically part of it, like that's where a lot of like very tense stuff goes down. We can maybe at some point figure out, because I think like climate wise they might all be fairly similar, maybe more temperate as you head further north, as you get closer to the equator.
Sure. I mean, that yellow part could just be like the equator, and it could just be like tropical or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm down with that. That sounds cool to me. Yeah.
I think with those places it might be more interesting as to who is there rather than the terrain of what's there. So that might be a later thing. I feel like we might end up doing like a place names episode and then a people episode if we keep doing this.
Definitely episode probably 5.
Yeah, I mean we can keep doing this. And then go back to doing regular podcasting after we have some more stuff to talk about. Probably after we do another game or something.
Yeah.
But so we can sort of have that box, but now we can deal with the northeast part.
Yeah, so it's I think we did a really good job, because we've cut up big swaths of territory that now have their own feel and kind of their own direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this kind of confederate, almost city-state like ancient Greece kind of deal, where it's like everybody is kind of living here, but you know we're all trying to keep each other in check, right?
Yeah.
So then the southern parts is just all like badlands. It's snowy. It's the survival of the fittest. There's raiders. There's all this cool shit.
Yeah, it's law and it's chaos.
Yeah, and it has this idea. It parallels the stuff that's happening in the outer island, because you know, essentially we have like kind of like these civilized areas, and then this winter witch is encroaching and putting all this like, you know, fey chaotic bullshit winterland throughout, right? So it's like now you have like a line. So everybody in the northern part are kind of working together, but they're all frenemies. But they also have like a bigger threat, which is all like the raiding and stuff that's happening from the south, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And the
it all
possibility
kind of
dragons.
pivots around. Oh yeah, and the dragons and stuff like that. And everything kind of like pivots around the center point, the focal point, whereas like where everyone is here is because the technology's here, because all this crazy shit happened in the center island.
Yes.
So I think we have a good thematic background to work off of.
Yeah, we do have like a lot of like very good base stuff to build on top of. Like a lot of directions we can go in based on what we've established. I think we have like very strong narrative base there.
Yeah.
So we can pat ourselves on the back for that. I think we've done that pretty well. But I do want to figure out, because we're at like 50 minutes in, so I think maybe figuring out this northeast part might be the last chunk of this episode. And
Sure,
then next episode we can start naming places and maybe people. I don't know how long that will take. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can start naming places. We can start giving more of those northeast regions like more thematic stuff to individualize themselves a little bit more. Maybe even give them flavors. Give them those flavors so we can, you know, like give them the old Viking flavor or whatever. Whatever the equivalent is for these guys.
I'm thinking that like especially like all the smaller ones, their flavor is going to be based less on their terrain and more on who's in power.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to come with like naming things. But
So let's put. We haven't talked about the dragons.
Yeah, I was thinking those might be in this area that we haven't dealt with yet.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sounds good. Dragons live here and it sucks.
Yeah, like how I'm trying to think of how common they are, because I'm thinking of them as like a very rare thing. Like there was a bunch of chromatic dragons that were fighting in this war. They all got blasted by this magic energy. It wrapped them in metal, and now there are metallic dragons. And you might find like they're very rare, but they're the most dense in this area. Most dense being you might see one like every few months or something.
Right. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's have them to be like these metallic, evil, draconic dragons that attack a whole bunch, and that would make sure. So it would be from the green part, like the green part next to the purple part, like at the north, and then to the orange part.
Yes.
So, and that would be all of that territory would be, terrible dragon lands. Because it sucks to live there because your shit's always on fire.
But there are like established people living there. There might even be one or two significant cities. In that area. Because I'm thinking, I was thinking mostly like wyverns would be the bigger deal. Because they're like an offshoot of dragons. I'm pretty sure they can fly. So they might be the ones who are pestering airships more these days than like actual dragons would be.
Not like a true dragon. Like true dragons might not actually you might never show like a big bad could actually just be a true dragon, right? Like maybe there's just no more true dragons here because of the whole thing. Now it's just like the dragon offshoots. They're like kind of like the leftovers.
Yeah.
And so we have these like metallic wyverns, maybe drakes. I mean, these are just kind of the same thing. There's lizard things that can fly and spit things.
Basically, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right, I like that they're clad in metal to kind of show that they were affected by this magical technological bullshit. And yeah, maybe the people that live there, I don't know, riding dragons is cool. Maybe they do that.
Sure.
maybe they ride dragons.
I was wondering if maybe one of the areas is ruled by a dragon. Like I'm trying to figure out like the temperament of these dragons. Like, are they all evil? Are they sort of neutral? Are they kind of good?
Oh, like there's like a true dragon that. Oh, maybe there's a true dragon that is control of the lands and protects it, but nobody actually knows the person in charge of the dragon.
Oh, they're like the emperor.
Yeah.
But like no one knows they're actually. Would they? Okay, are they shape-shifting or are they Wizard of Oz? No one's really seen them.
Let's make them shapeshift, because dragons in the Monster Manual can shapeshift because it makes more like they're like crazy magical people, and maybe he's just really old. Like he could just be like super old. He's like he was a young pup when the place fell or whatever. Sure.
You know what?
1,000 years ago.
You know what I'm thinking? You have the metallic dragons that are semi-good, but they're very scattered. Their memories are all messed up. Their minds are all messed up. And then you have this one particular guy who is a dragon, but he doesn't get as affected by the explosion as the others did. He still has a lot of his original nature. Yeah. But maybe he was like knocked out for a few years or something. And then he saw what the world became, and he's trying to... Because like we were talking about having like this other thing going on where someone's trying to reawaken that very powerful dragon that was sort of decimated by the war or destroyed by the big explosion. He could be the one trying to do that, but he's also capturing all the metallic dragons or something.
Oh, like he's just actually just trying to like, so are they killing them or just capturing them?
I'm thinking capture. I think he wants them for something. Like he needs them to somehow reawaken this figure or to reestablish his power.
Okay.
I don't know if they need to be alive for that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So the reason you'd go into this area is because you're tasked with hunting these wyverns or these dragons or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. We could do that. I mean, also since this dude doesn't really, he sounds like he doesn't care for his own kind.
No.
right? Okay, cool. I like that. I like a bad guy who's bad. Like he's like, I'm the best. Forget everybody else.
I see him more like craving power. And he's trying to either get that power back by amassing it for himself, or by bringing back this leader and expecting some sort of reward, or because he was in a particular position of power when that dragon was around, so he's trying to reestablish that.
Yeah, okay, maybe he's just collecting all the dragons because when he awakes, like he can use him and the army of dragons to go take over the place again. Maybe the body. So I like the idea that this place is like kind of, I don't know how big this ancient dragon was that really tore up the place, but like I'm thinking he's big. I said before, I was like, maybe he's like
they detonated, like, according to our story, they detonated like entire reservoirs and power lines of magical energy just to get this mostly this one guy, but all his army, but like significantly this one guy. So he's got to be like huge,
scary. So I'm thinking maybe, you know how like there's like this big at from like the bottom of the Viking lands all the way up to where this the yellow green and the regular green kind of meet, like that kind of area. I was like, it kind of looks like maybe it could be spines on like a monster's back or something. And I was like, maybe this thing is so big, it just literally like after the place exploded and all of the land kind of fell down, like he actually literally fell down like underneath the earth too, and he's sleeping like inside the inner sea is like his grave. Right?
Oh,
right. And this thing is like he's like a kaiju. Like he's like, maybe he's not, you know, as big as like the entire island or whatever, but like he has to be like something that's kind of like apocalyptic. Right?
Sure. I mean, he could be as big as one of the actual highlighted regions on here, like as big as like maybe that orange one in the east.
Yeah, or something. I don't know, man. But that seemed kind of crazy to me now that I think about it.
I was thinking like city size, but
yeah, I was like, I don't think I understand how, like, I need. It's just what I mean, man. Don't give me a map. Like, I don't know how big anything is. Someone's like, how big is Godzilla? And he's like, he's the biggest thing on the planet. It's basically a dragon Tarrasque.
Be some sort of, I mean, like Tarrasque is still like the size of a city-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a size of like a building. It's like bigger. I'm nuts. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it in our back pocket, but he could be like building size. Well, maybe. Do you think this guy found that body?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because he would have to find it, right? Like he would need to know where it is, and that's why he would kind of be next to it, right?
So maybe like he's taking something from these dragons that he's going to use to revive this larger one. That's why he's hunting them down. He's hunting, like, under the guise of trying to protect the region, because maybe there exists some stories of what happened previously. Just some records that managed to survive the magic apocalypse. So people know dragons are bad, and they're being attacked by wyverns and drakes anyways. So you have people who are hunting them down purposely, mostly taking them alive. And this guy is like, yeah, we should keep doing that if we want to keep our airships flying. We don't want anyone to attack them now, do we? And then they bring them back, and he's like, thank you for bringing all these dragon hearts to me.
I like that. So maybe, I mean, you could have him so they're like, you know, just feeding this thing to try and reincarnate him or whatever, or revive him, right? This dragon lord. This, I think we mentioned like Tiamat maybe, because like he's we wanted like the orbs of like dragon control. I mean, okay, maybe the orbs of dragon control is like his ultimate goal, but right now he's just settling for people capturing dragons and bringing them back until he's able to get the dragon orbs, so he can just summon all of them at once
to control all of them. So he's either looking for control or to revive this larger figure, or would he end up accidentally doing that anyway? Like, if he ever gets all the orbs, it just like accidentally revives his. I mean, I don't know how he would set that up.
If I was the DM, which I might be, yes, he would just. It doesn't matter if you stopped him. it will probably just be like, oh no, they're all together anyway.
Like that could be. I mean, I guess that would be dependent on how the storyline goes. Either getting them all reawakened as this thing, or that was his intent in the first place.
Yeah. It could be cool. That'd be awesome.
So I'm thinking of putting him in sort of the easternmost, like teal turquoise kind of area.
Yeah. That was the place I was gonna put him too. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, because it is very like directly connected to the orange one there. So I'm thinking whatever we end up naming those places, those could be north and south, whatevers.
Oh, interesting. I like it.
And then yeah, the southern one is just more like I'm thinking like the southern one. It might be terrain-wise maybe a little bit harder to travel through, and he's like specifically tells people to avoid that area, but that's just because that's where he's like gathering his things.
Yeah, and that's where like that's where like the dead body of their dragon god lord is there, and he's like, well, I can't have people walking around this place. They'll figure it out. My master plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, all right, I like it.
Like there's some roads you can travel on, obviously, but for the most part, people avoid that area for fear of like other creatures or larger dragons or whatever this guy tells them.
Yeah. I like the idea that this guy is kind of like this ancient like person who's like very knowledgeable, and people always seek his advice and stuff like that, but really is just kind of like
He's really that guy. But he does have enough like charisma and influence to take at least like some other places under his influence, like that green one. I'm kind of thinking like every generation or so, like he pretends to die or disappear or something, and then he comes back as like, it's me, not a dragon the third.
Yeah, it could be. It could just be like I like the idea of maybe it being maybe like a ceremonial thing or like a religious thing or something. Like maybe they're dragon hunters or whatever, but it's like their leader is like chosen, and they're always like reincarnated. Well, reincarnated, quote unquote.
Like he just like he's a fire dragon of some sort. So they burn the body, and then when the flames disappear, he's just there still. He's like, I've been reborn.
Yeah.
And
Like
he just took a nap for like an hour.
Yeah, he just comes back out of the dirt and just like, haha, I told you I was the greatest.
Yep. Yeah, we should. Okay, for sure. That's cool. I like it.
Okay. Right.
So we've got north and south whatevers. So I guess the last thing is that one green spot.
Oh, the kind of yellowy green.
Yeah, between the pink and the teal. So under this dragon guy's influence, separate from the north and south thing that are specifically there. I'm thinking just like a separate ruler who's more loyal to this guy than to the Alliance/Empire.
Oh, okay.
Like this particular person, this could be where they produce, because I'm thinking like this area still needs something that sets it apart from the Alliance/Empire. This could be where they produce a lot of the what am I thinking? A lot of the technological airships. So it's very important to them that they have safe skies to travel through. So that's why they're more like loyal to this guy, because he's more focused on attacking these wyverns versus whatever else is going on towards the west.
Yeah.
So that could be where they produce a lot of that kind of thing, and that gives this person a lot of power. But they're more loyal to the person that they feel safer with, I guess.
Who's actually trying to keep their skies safe. That could be a good contention, because maybe the Empire's actually got that land there too, to really kind of try and influence them to join their quote-unquote confederation or whatever, because they're the ones producing they're the ones trying to produce the most airship. Maybe that part could be a good reservoir of like, because there's so many metallic dragons, maybe that place is just rich in minerals and shit.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like it would be caught in the crossroads between these two places, and if the PCs get involved with that sort of thing, they could, like, if they know the truth by that point, they could on the one hand say, yeah, this guy's totally tricking you, but like this other side isn't giving you anything.
Right,
they just
right.
want what you have, but they don't want to offer you anything. Versus the guy
Exactly.
who is literally just using you.
Yeah, but the guy who's like, the guy who's has your best intentions is like trying to resurrect the dead dragon god to I don't know, blow up the place.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Maybe their dead dragon god is actually just like a big, crazy, scary dragon, and like you need all the Dragon Balls to control him. So like,
Sure.
so like he's just really hunting Dragon Balls, but I also
Could he
but
have?
also like
Yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just suddenly got this image in my head of that dragon god, but he has all the orbs of dragon kind on like a chain around his neck.
Yeah.
And then when he got blown up, they just all scattered to the winds.
Yeah.
And this guy spent time trying to not only recover them, but recharge them with dragons of a similar type.
Oh my God. Maybe they're like kind of like the ancient batteries where like these like this, I feel like they would kind of function similarly where like you have to like sacrifice the dragon to put the battery back in, and then as soon as like the battery like the Dragon Ball is full, it'll like, I don't know, like a crest or something will form.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like good.
And then like good.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah,
tented figures.
because like maybe one of the Dragon Balls is with the Empire. Oh my God, that would be cool. The Empire has it. They know what that's important to this guy, but they don't really know like, why,
yeah.
right? And they don't have any dragons really to hunt and sacrifice and things. So this thing's kind of like dead, right? Like it's like they're all sorts of different colors, but this one's kind of like grayed out.
Yeah, because they wouldn't know that. Like, I'm thinking this guy needs to collect the Dragon Balls, the Dragon Orbs, and he needs to collect dragons of similar type to charge them with. So there might be a situation where he's got the dragon ready to go. He's got it all chained up, but he doesn't have the orb for that particular type or color or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because then they could be like, they could just be like this place will just pay you for capturing dragons, and that could just be someone's career is like going out and capturing dragons and stuff. And that could be a cool job for the pieces to get tag along and be like, oh man, my crew bailed on me. I need you guys to be my dragon hunters.
Yeah,
and
because
like,
they have
because
like their own, like, if that's where they make airships, they could have their own particular like dragon hunting airships, or they could have their own flying creatures they ride on, like griffins or whatever, that they use to hunt dragons with.
This place is dope, and then they could just have this whole aerial combat or whatever, and like, yeah, I like it. I like this. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is, and then so this is why the northeast side is way more easier to travel, because everywhere from like the south and to the west is full of all this crazy shit you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, like there's yes.
And then let's say the PCs are forced, they can't use the reliable channels anymore because the Empire's after them because for some reason.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, if PCs did something to piss the Empire off, like taking that dragon orb, for example, they're cut off from like 50% of the ring.
Exactly, right? Like they may have allies in the other parts, maybe not, maybe all of like the other sections, like they don't like, oh whatever, the Empire's kind of dicks anyway.
Yeah.
But now they have to travel like, through like the Viking side, and they might get raided or whatever, or they might meet the Vikings, and the Vikings like, you guys are all right, you guys are pretty tough or whatever, right? Like
you guys are all right.
Yeah, right.
Hey, what's
And
that
it's
orb
like,
thing?
Yeah, it's like I was like those. Yeah, I don't know. Is it edible? Like, so so cool. And then I mean, I also like the idea of the Viking guys just being like just jacked, really big, like 7 foot tall minimum.
Yeah,
dudes.
obviously. I mean, despite them being dwarves.
Yeah. No, they're dorks. So it's like
true. So they would be that. It would average out.
Yeah. They would just be like really big dudes, really thick dudes.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And cool dragon area. Then the Empire Confederation area, which will flesh out to be,
Yeah, I think once we start naming it, because I can't really think of anything significant, especially like the 3 to the west there. I can't think of anything significant about what their terrain might be. The northern one I'm thinking is more temperate and something like that. But the other ones, I think once we start naming people, we'll start to see more significance of those places, and then we start throwing towns in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when we'll start to see those places develop more. But I think we do have a general idea of what'll be there, and I think we've caught like 4 different major issues. Like we've got the whole magic dragon, like magic battery stuff. We've got the dragon guy. We've got the politics. We've got the winter witch. We've got the Vikings. I think we've got a lot of issues in this place.
So that's all D&D is, just a bunch of issues, and the PCs are like the fix-it tool. Like you just apply them to the situation, and they try and make it better.
And they try.
Yeah, they try.
Yeah, I think we're. Yeah, I think we've done a lot. Do you want to call it for this episode?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can call it.
All right, and then next episode we get to start naming stuff, or
Yeah.
podcast stuff. I don't know what our next episode is going to be. Should we talk about something hashtag relatable to make this more of a podcast episode, just so we can call it a podcast episode?
Okay, so I don't know. In terms of like, what is it? Like I've been following a lot of Matt Koval's stuff, and like one of his things is like if you're a DM, you're gonna end up becoming a game designer because there's just some stuff that like the game can't emulate, or you just feel like it's like, no, I could do a way better job, right? And that's like really true. Like I never thought I would make up this much shit. like you know, I tried to use his rules for followers in our Inion campaign, right? But you know, he's building it for D&D 5e because that's the game everyone plays, right? That's the game he plays. But now I have to like fix it to being, you know, Pathfinder. And then like eventually I started like kind of taking some parts, and I was like, okay, maybe I can just, you know, make it work, right?
Yeah.
And then I decided to have his idea, but kind of throw out all the numbers and make my own numbers, like make my own scaling and stuff like that. And then I also just started making up my own stuff. Like so a good example would be like, I don't know, like Suki is probably one of the first followers I ever made, and you know, her ability, I think I kept the same like attack bonus abilities or whatever, right? Because she just rolls like a d12 or something like that. But then I was like, okay, the type of character in his book is I think it's like a magical knight or something like that, and they have the shield spell, but the shield spell in D&D is different from the shield spell in Pathfinder, right?
Yes.
It's and like so I kept the shield spell, but then like I don't know, I had the idea of it being, because you know I watch a lot of anime, it's like Suki, instead of it being like a magical shield that protects her, like it's like the ability to counter something, right? And if she's able to flip it on, she quickly counters something, it blows back the enemy if the enemy misses.
Sure.
Or yeah, and I was like, you know, that's like a good example of like sometimes you just gotta like go with stuff. Just kind of
like you do have to design your own things. I do like the phrase of like being a DM means you're a game designer. Like even what we were doing just now, just like we weren't creating our own game mechanics or game systems, but we are creating a space for play, and that is an inherent part of game design. Like creating a spot for your players to use the tools that are available to them in that space. So I think, yeah, that's absolutely correct, that like by being a DM or GM or whatever the phrase may be for your game, you are inherently like designing a game.
Even if you're just making up magical items, like I don't know, from Inion, I've made up so much shit. I feel like that game is barely Pathfinder sometimes.
I would say it's
but, yeah, you know, like what is it? Shatterstar, like Shatterstar in itself, like.
Yeah, do you want to explain what Shatterstar is, though? Quick, I don't think.
Oh, right. So, Shatterstar is a magical sword that is a part of a set of equipment. The set of equipment is a part of like a cabal of knights, and there's 4 of them, and so they found 2 pieces. One of them is Shatterstar, which is a sword. The other one is Null, which is like a kind of like a crown that you wear, a circlet, and if you collect all of the, like, you know, and there's like 4 different items for the set. If you collect all 4 of them, every time you get one, all of them kind of get like a power boost until you're like, you have the whole collection, and then you're kind of like, you know, you have like the powers set that's there, right? The Shadow Star, all I knew with Shadow Star is like I wanted Shadow Star to kind of like appear out of nowhere, not really have a shape until you want it, so it's basically like whatever kind of weapon you want it to be. And it was black, and it looked like the night sky, like a starry sky. Like it was kind of like you're grabbing space.
Yeah.
And then it was like, you know, so, but I had to figure out all of the Pathfinder stats for it, right? Like, what is it really? Like, is it a +1/+2 striking weapon or whatever? And then I realized that I didn't want all of the, like, I didn't want Shadow Star's like critical bonus to be whatever the critical bonus for that weapon type, because Shadow Star doesn't really have a weapon type. It's like an artifact, right? It's like something that's like beyond the regular stuff. So I was like, okay. I was like, who was using it? It was Joel's character, Rick's, and he's a thief. And I was like, or a rogue. And like I was like, okay, so what would Joel's character kind of want to do? I think that if like he just wants to stab stuff more, right?
Yeah, like rogues do.
Yeah, right. He gets 1 stab. So I was like, okay, so if Shadow Star crits, you get a free attack at whatever base attack you did it at another creature within 60 feet. It has like the sword kind of like impales the first attacker, like, you know, impales him through, and the Shadow Star just kind of extends because it's not really a blade. It's kind of just like a sharp like space thing. It'll just like whip around to a next enemy and strike it, right? So it has this whole like kind of crazy kind of like not bound by like kind of like reality kind of artifact feel, which kind of like, you know, I thought was really cool, and Joel thought was really cool. So yeah, it works.
As long as the players think it's cool, then everything is cool.
Yeah, like I don't know, I didn't think it was that game breaking. There was a lot of you anyway, and somebody was gonna kill that thing anyway. Like,
yeah, I don't think we've reached a point in that game where where anything is game breaking yet. I still feel some tension.
I mean, it doesn't like it, I mean, if I threw like if anyone throws a bunch of giants at you and they all have big clubs and you just one at a time, attack one person till they're dead, step on their face, it's done. It's like, I mean, what are they gonna do, right? And you just move on to the next one. So like that's always
like, as the DM, you can kill the players at any time.
Yeah, but I don't think it would even be that hard like, to do it legally. It's not. It's not.
I mean, there's always some big thing you can throw at the players that would totally stomp them if given the ability to do so.
Yeah, man. Just like a, I don't know, 11th level wizard. Just be like, haha, take 5 fireballs. Haha.
That could be
I'm flying, haha, nice try, haha.
That could be a thing on its own.
Yeah.
But now that we've added that on to make this an actual podcast episode, yeah, I think we've done a lot today, and we had a bit of a discussion, which was, I think, very interesting. We should all watch Matt Coville's videos.
I mean, it's good. They're good. The guy has a lot of good things to say. So I highly recommend him.
I would say the same. Yeah, I guess we should just sort of like go on to the outro. Why not?
Yeah, cool.
So, but in all seriousness, thanks again for everyone who's listening to this, who got to the end of this episode. And yeah, thanks for checking out our world building thing. I'm having a lot of fun doing this and doing it with someone else and doing it in front of people. So I would like to continue doing that. Just give me an excuse to do so. So thank you for that. If you want to drop any suggestions of what should be around here, if you have any cool names, that'd be super helpful. If you want to hit us up with that, just find us. You can find us on the socials, on Twitter and Facebook at Win With Dice, or check out the Facebook Win With Dice page. You can check out our website, winwithdice.ca, because I keep saying we're C80 in every episode, and it hasn't stopped being funny to me. Me personally. But do check out our website. We've got a lot. We got some extra content there. You can go there to see the full image of the map page, as well as some artwork that we've used in our shows, such as Renegades of the Drift, our Starfinder show. You can check out some of the backgrounds and pixel art that we use there. Yeah, hit us up. Drop an email if that's the thing you want to do. If you're a business person, send us some business emails.
Send us some business type emails.
And yeah, I think that's it. Ramon, you got anything you want to say before we head out?
I don't want to steal your outro again, so you can sign off.
I'm gonna sign off with our outro. Remember, folks. Wait, I gotta do this in a outro post. Remember, folks. Keep on winning with dice. Okay, everybody. Bye.
All right, bye.